Good afternoon, everyone. I think we had a few more people register, so I'm going to wait just a couple more minutes, allow more people to join. Thank you all who are already on the call now. Just another minute, and then I'll begin with a quick presentation. Does someone have a question? All
Hi,
right,
Jen.
well, I'd like to,
Just wanted to see how you're doing.
Oh, I'm doing all right. How are you, Laura?
I'm doing pretty good. Excited to be here.
Thank you for joining. Thank you everyone else for joining too. Everyone who's interested in learning more about AHEC Scholars. Oh, someone's wanting the password in for this meeting, so I'm gonna send them that right now. Forgive me for texting. Okay. We have a few more people joining. There may have been a password confusion. Sorry about that. I mean to keep us all waiting. Maybe one more minute to see if people can get in, and then I'll begin the presentation.
Sounds good.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Hope you all can hear me all right and can see the presentation that I'm sharing with you. My name is Jen Guin. I am with the West Central region of Missouri AHEC, and I'd like to tell you about the AHEC Scholars program. The AHEC Scholars program is for health profession students who are wanting to go beyond, students interested in working in rural and underserved areas, gaining additional experience and supplementing your education with online learning and community-based activities. We are funded by HRSA, the Health Resources and Services Administration, a federal organization. And so sometimes we have funds available and can offer stipends, but we're never able to promise that since funding varies annually. AHEC is a national organization. So AHEC Scholars, it's a national program, and then each state kind of operates their own AHEC. So we have the Missouri AHEC organization, and then under that, we have different regions, which you'll see later. AHEC Scholars program revolves around 6 core topics: interprofessional education, behavioral health integration, and in Missouri, we also include oral health, so behavioral and oral health integration into primary care, social determinants of health, cultural competency, practice transformation, and current and emerging health issues. That last topic is heavy with substance and opioid use disorder, but we also have included now information on COVID-19 and some other topics. So who can apply to be an AHEC Scholar? Well, one, we'd like you to have an interest in serving in rural or underserved areas, to be currently enrolled in a health professions degree or certificate program. And the last one, this is very important, we want you to be 2 years away from completing your degree or your certificate. This comes from our HRSA guidelines. We just need you to complete the AHEC Scholars program alongside with graduation or completing your health professions program. There is an exception, I should mention though, dental and medical students. You don't have to be 2 years away from graduation to apply. You can apply in your first and second years as well. AHEC Scholars is a 2-year program, and so in each year you will do 40 hours of community-based experiential or clinical training. A lot of times you can use your clinical work to meet your experiential requirements. We just have certain criteria that have to be met, but hopefully we can help you get credit for some work that you're already doing, so don't feel like you have to take on too much additional work by joining the program. And then 40 hours of online didactic work per year as well. Although I know a lot of students who can finish the online work much faster than the 40 hours, but that's just a good estimate for you to go off of. So by the end of completing the 2-year program, you will have completed 40 hours of experiential work or 80 hours of experiential work and 80 hours of didactic work. We only have really one deadline per year. Other than that, we don't set deadlines for the specific assignments, but if you want to get your stipend, then you have to get all your requirements in. Usually by August 31st is when our deadline goes. So we go from September to August. Why would you want to join AHEC Scholars? Well, you join a national network of health professions students. You get all of these opportunities for these community-based experiences. You get all of our certificates and the training free, no cost to you. Also, it's completely free to join the program, and then we offer stipends when possible. So the certifications that I mentioned available through our program, you can get mental health first aid, the national class standards, and also from the Institute for Healthcare Improvement. We will begin reviewing applications on August 31st. So you can go ahead and submit applications online starting now. If you have questions, please reach out to the region that your school is in. So here's how Missouri is divided. We have Sharita in East Central Missouri, Susan in Mid-Missouri, Laura in Northeast, Savannah Northwest, Jesse Southeast, Cassandra Southwest, and then myself, West Central. If you need any of those emails, again, feel free to message me in chat on here. I'd be happy to send that to you that way. And thank you all very much. Now I'd like to introduce our student panel. We have Samantha and Sharon. They're here to tell us about what it's like to be an AHEC Scholar, why they joined, what their experience has been like, and why they think you should apply as well. Shannon, would you like to go first?
Yes, I can do that. So I am a fourth-year medical student at Mizzou. I've been involved in AHEC Scholars for, I think, around a year. I'm planning on going into pediatrics and have already decided that I'm going to work for an FQHC afterwards. So this is all definitely really relevant to my future career. I got involved in AHEC Scholars because I had been involved in AHEC since high school. So for a lot of years, and it just seemed like a really great way to continue to be involved. I really feel like it's filled in some of the gaps that there are in medical education. As much as they try, they can't teach us everything about how to be a good doctor in 4 years, especially when you're really focused on what's on the tests. I think my favorite portion so far has been social determinants of health. It's been super relevant to all of medical practice, especially as of late. So I really appreciated the videos, articles, and everything that we had to read during that one. I also attended mental health first aid, youth mental health first aid, which was also, again, really relevant for pretty well anyone, but especially a future career in pediatrics. I think there's all kinds of opportunities for personal growth and to make yourself a better healthcare professional throughout AHEC Scholars. Anything else that I missed?
No, I was just unmuting myself. Sorry, I was slow to that. That was fantastic. Thank you for sharing your experience. Samantha?
Yes, so I am about to become a senior, and I am a communication disorders major, so I'm hoping to become a speech therapist. And really with our classes in school, we're learning more about anatomy, how to run a session, but you don't really learn about how are you going to convey what you find in the session to doctors or other healthcare professionals, or how are you going to make sure that you are sensitive to multicultural and varying socioeconomic statuses. And I feel like this program has really taught me a lot of that, a lot of the more behind the scenes stuff that you don't really think about when it comes to a career in the health field. And I feel like it kind of teaches you how to be more personable and how to make people feel comfortable around you. And it does so in a very concise way. So it's not extremely difficult to get the information that you need. My favorite was probably the ATIP training that we did. So we learned how to quickly bring someone who has just been through a traumatic situation down a little bit and just help relieve some of that pain and trauma that they're feeling. So that was really interesting. Oh yeah, you learned that? Okay, cool. So that was really cool to learn. And then we did some things just kind of learning about, in general, how to see things around you in society and things like that, and realize that it could make life difficult for others, especially with getting the healthcare they need based on just what their lives may look like in their neighborhoods or at home. So that was definitely really interesting.
Well, thank you very much, Samantha.
No problem.
I'd like to open it up now to anyone who has questions for Shannon, Samantha, or myself.
I have a question.
Yes.
Hey, so just to kind of get a little bit more about what AHEC Scholars is. So I know that you said per year we have to complete 40 hours of clinical training and then 40 hours of online courses. Once we complete those, 80 hours each, do you get a certificate, or are you certified in something, or does it just look good on a resume?
You will get a certificate of completion for AHEC Scholars. You also, I think there's a special certificate from the Institutes for Healthcare Improvement. I can't remember the name of it though. I think like quality control or something like that. You'd have a certificate from there. It does look good on a resume too. So I think it's like yes to,
Yes,
to
yes.
all of those questions. Uh-huh.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And just one more question. I know, I think you had sent me an email, and I'm projected to graduate with my undergraduate in health studies December of 2021. So that's in it 1 year, like a year and a half. And you said, is there any exceptions to where if I get all of my hours completed, they'll kind of, oh, okay, you know, it wasn't quite 2 years, you know, you got it, you were ahead 6 months. So I just don't, I still haven't decided what my
Yeah.
graduate program's going to be yet, or if I'm just going to go out in the workforce and figure it out. So I don't want to like invest a year and a half and then them be like, no, sucks for you.
Yeah, no, that's something I can definitely get an answer for you on. If you think you can finish all 2 years in 18 months, then yeah, I'm happy to check and see if they would make an exception. I think the biggest thing is our HRSA funding requirement requires all students to complete AHEC Scholars before or like while, you know, when they're graduating. So that'd be the only thing.
Yeah, and I
You'd
know
have to
next
have
year
it
is going to
done.
be a big one because I'll have to have 300 hours of internship and finishing up my graduate classes. Plus, I have 2 kids, so you know, fun stuff.
Well, you and I can definitely talk more.
Okay, yeah, that'd be
Because even
great.
if you, it sounds like if you're going to be going on to another program after graduating, then there's still the chance that you can apply once you get into another program.
Yeah. But
Jen?
what if I just go straight into the workforce? You think it might be okay?
Right.
Jen?
No, because you need to currently be enrolled in the program. And Susan, you want to say something? I'm
Yeah.
so sorry.
That's okay. I think it also, each case is kind of, we can send the information on individual students to HRSA and they can be approved. And it would depend on,
Okay.
Jessica, does your program go through the summer?
Oh, it does. Yeah.
Okay,
So
so
yeah.
That makes kind of a difference too, because if you were in a program that wasn't, that semester would be in the spring.
Yeah.
You know, so I mean, you're actually doing
Mm-hmm.
years in
Yeah.
that 18 months. And so, but you would know if it's okay before the program would actually start.
Perfect.
So, I mean, you're either, it's okay or you're not accepted. So, I mean, but there are individual situations like that where you would just have to,
Okay.
so that might, it might work. So, you know.
Okay, great.
Yeah, I'll check on it
Thank
and
you.
let you know.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Question for Shannon.
Yes.
I'm going to be a second-year medical student. I was concerned about the time commitment. Can you kind of like walk me through what you were involved with and if you had any time?
Yes. So there's not really a good way around like not having extra time with the online portion, but definitely talk to your AHEC people. I ended up having some rotations and things that I did throughout med school, like volunteering, stuff like that. Some of that counted for part of my 40 hours. So it's not like it has to be 40 standalone hours in some cases. Correct me if I'm wrong. So the experiential portion was easier to work in than I thought. And once you get past step 1, the online stuff is a lot easier to work in than before that. So it's definitely doable. It's not like easy, but doable.
Right.
Yeah, Tessa, last year they made it so that if you were taking a class or clinicals that were involved interdisciplinary or other, where you were working with other groups, or then that you could count those hours towards your experiential. So you weren't having to do duplicate. I mean, you could count those towards it. So that really helped. The other thing is if you take a class that isn't required of your program, that's an extra. Like I had a pharmacy student that took something on, I think it was, I don't know if it was elder care, but I was on diabetes controlling diabetes, and since that would be a social determinant of health, any class you took that would meet one of the criteria, you can count the time. There's so many hours allotted for that class. If it's approved, that will also goes towards your experiential. So the experiential is kind of easy to get during your, go right along with what you're already doing in class. There's also, if you have a project that you're working on, like maybe you work at a health fair, with some students, like you're doing a health screening or something like that for a class project, that would work into and count as some things too. So
Okay.
there are things that you will already be doing that will count. So it's not like you're having to do 40 more hours of experiential. You might have to do a few in different things, but a lot of it will, what you're already doing will count.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yes, thanks, Susan. We do like to work with all our students to try and see what all we can count and make as little less work for you as possible. Any other questions? We both already hit on my favorite question, being which core topic is your favorite. So thank you for mentioning that, panel. And thank you very much for your time and telling us your truthful experience. I appreciate it. Appreciate everyone else joining us this afternoon. And if there's no further questions, give you all back 40 minutes of your day. So thank you. Have a good rest of your afternoon. Bye.
Thanks, Jen. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.
Thank you, guys.